My parents were split up before I was born, so I mean there was that whole like just being passed back and forth, and my parents each had families of their own. They were both remarried. Whenever I needed something, I would go to mom. She would say, go ask your dad. I would go to dad. He would say, go ask your mom. Just feeling like I never really belonged, even though, you know, I had friends and people told me that they liked me and or that we were friends. Like it just felt like I didn't really belong. Those feelings of not being wanted went away as soon as I got high or drunk or whatever. You know, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. It became like more of a necessity right away, right off the bat. I got expelled from school for drugs. I got kicked out of my house. And when I got kicked out of my house, you know, that's when things really took off. Started doing like ecstasy, coke, mushrooms, acid, just like anything I could get my hands on, really. If I wasn't high, like I was out there seeking out how I could get money, how I could get high, how I could, you know, get anything and more of it. It was never enough. Fell in love with the feeling and needed it. You know, my friends would all stop drinking because they were getting a little too drunk or a little, you know, getting the spins, and I'd be like, well, there's still more alcohol here, so why are we stopping? You know, I literally used and drank until I physically couldn't anymore. I just kind of jumped right into heroin. It was just there one time, and I tried it, and, you know, I was trying to hide it. I thought I was being sneaky, but I was fucking 120 pounds and looked like death, so, I mean, who am I kidding, really? You know, then I ended up homeless for about 6 months. None of my friends wanted me around. My family didn't want me around. You know, I didn't go to rehab for the first time to get sober. I went because it would be a place to stay for 30 days and, you know, my parents would pay for it and, you know, maybe it would get me back in their good graces. But if I could just go back to smoking weed and drinking, things will be fun again like they used to be. Like, I stayed in the halfway house for like 2 or 3 months. I, you know, got drunk sporadically in between there, wasn't actually sober. These 12-step programs, you know, I picked and choose the parts that I liked, that I thought were easy, that, you know, I skipped the parts that I didn't really, you know, I was uncomfortable, made me uncomfortable. I just, you know, I'll just go to meetings, you know, I'll do the bare minimum, basically. I went back out with the intention of just smoking weed and drinking, and within hours, it was back to heroin. Moved in with my heroin dealer, and that was not fun, having those types of people around all the time. Living with prostitutes and, you know, just the bottom of the barrel, really, and I was one of them. Like, it was miserable. So I tried it again. You know, I went to a detox and I went back into a halfway house, and, you know, this time I was like, okay, we'll do a little bit more this time. Not the bare minimum, but just barely above the bare minimum, and I'll see if that works for me. And it didn't. Again, I stayed in the halfway house for like 2-3 months, and went back out with the intention of just having a couple beers, and before I knew it, the whole 12-pack was gone, and I was hitting up my heroin dealers. And that was when I kind of realized, like, maybe I do have a problem. I can't just have 2 beers. I can't just do a little bit. Like, if there's more there, I'm gonna do it until it's all gone or until I'm, like, unable to stand up to get more. You know, I went back in and out of these, you know, 12-step programs, these meetings. It didn't really, you know, I kind of sat on my phone. I didn't really pay attention. I just never really gave it my all. What's different this time is I just dove headfirst into this program. You know, in order for this program to work, you have to be willing to do, you know, as much as you were willing to do to get high, to stay sober. If your drug dealer was across town and you had no way to get there, you would walk to get those drugs. You know, I've had to walk home from meetings 5-6 miles in the middle of the night because the buses have stopped running. I mean, I had this opinion when I first came in, like, what are these 12 steps really gonna do? Like, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Like, once I truly accepted I could find a higher power of my own understanding and turn my will over to that higher power, like, it's just been a lot more, like, clear for me, like, what I have to do. You know, get involved and be always willing to help those newcomers and, like, share my story and just hope that, you know, someone somewhere can relate to it. If you actually put your all into it and do everything that the big book suggests and that your sponsor suggests, like, you can't put it into words, like, how amazing this fellowship and, like, life can be. They actually care enough to, like, help me and talk to me and sit there and listen. Even if I just want to bitch about my problems for an hour or whatever, they'll just sit there and listen, or they'll call me on my bullshit if I'm being a whiny little bitch, which happens. So, I mean, yeah, like, you just got to be willing, really. You just got to be willing to give this program your all, and it's amazing what can happen.